It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, let's review.
Season 2 will analyze the scene.
Sounds holly and jolly to me.
Before it's over, let's begin.
Bum
Again.
That's right, folks. Since the Christmas season is upon us, we thought the way to celebrate and get into the holiday spirit would be with some holiday reviews.
12 to be exact, decoratively divided into 4 categories for your Yuletide pleasure.
I'm not doing a good job. I'm not doing Cranston justice. So without further ado, silver up those bells, light the multicolored lights, and go out and build a snowman as you join us on some seasonal shenanigans. I was basically just doing Batman. I was just like, oh, I'm going to have a deep, intimidating voice.
Oh, I guess I only have the cadence of Walter White. I can't do the voice. I can just do the cadence. I can have the pauses. That's all I have.
Right. All right, BlueDragonFive. So out of all the holiday specials that we'll be reviewing this year, this might be the most exciting, would you say?
Yes, it's a very special one, folks.
Oh yeah. So obviously, we love us some Bryan Cranston. We love us some Breaking Bad. And this was Bryan Cranston playing a con artist, playing a really skeezy individual before Breaking Bad in a lovable family movie on the Disney Channel. So yeah, that's what we're going to be breaking down.
Literally, folks, the ultimate selling phrase would be it's the Disney movie in which Bryan Cranston. It's the holiday movie in which Bryan Cranston tries to steal Christmas.
I mean, you know what? I'm gonna kind of argue with you right there because I think that's a little bit misleading given the plot, because he's not really trying to steal Christmas. He's more trying to steal shit that people already have that's valuable.
Yeah, but it sounds kind of cool.
I know. The pitch, it sounds really cool, but I mean, I was honestly I had no idea what to expect from this movie, so I was honestly kind of thinking well, does Bryan Cranston I was kind of thinking more the Santa Claus 3 route, you know what I mean, where Bryan Cranston is literally trying to take over and steal Christmas. But hey, what we got was great too. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's technically stealing Christmas from other people. It's using the holiday to steals. I think it's still. We'll get into it.
All right.
The point is, because we don't really have a lot of background, getting into my nostalgic reasons for why I kind of got us to picking this.
You know what? When I did watch it, I did see this movie when I was younger. I definitely did. I just kind of forgot about it. So
well, we'll gush over the nostalgia in the backstory section of it here.
I mean, this isn't really a Halloween town in terms of nostalgia, but it's up there.
Yeah, we'll get into that after our first segment, which would be the plot. So let me recap the plot here for you folks. So we meet the Wrigley family, specifically Danny Wrigley. He's a nice enough kid, has a tendency to scam people, even his own family, when in a bind, as he does. Something he picked up from his uncle Nick, who's in hot water with 2 business associates over owing them $30,000. Or they sick Asian muscle man Elliot on him. He evades them by donning a Santa suit and leaves town to visit his brother's family and also get away so the heat can die down. Nick and Danny are surprised by Santa Claus. Santa Claus clumsily hits his head and he falls unconscious. Nick gets the idea to use Santa's device to steal from the rich and give to his debtors. Meanwhile, while Santa and the kids try tracking down the sleigh, thanks to Danny, Nick ultimately realizes the error in his ways, and Christmas is eventually saved. And it ends the only way it could possibly end, with Bryan Cranston playing electric guitar.
Hell yes to that.
And that's the special in a nutshell.
Oh my god. Yeah, I've got to say, just overall, my thoughts on this film is it's fun. It's really fun. I think that's the key word to use here, is fun. I don't think it's entirely original. I think a lot of it kind of rips off of the Santa Claus in some ways. I just think it kind of succumbs to some Disney Channel original movie tropes, but we'll get into that. So
sure. So, in terms of the reason we picked this, and I'm going to be gushing over this in kind of a naughty nice thing, but let me just say, I mean, this this film always stuck in my mind in that I remember watching on Disney Channel, and this premise, it was so, at the time, to me, aside from Santa Claus, I hadn't really seen something like this, kind of a new take on the Santa Claus, not factoring in Bad Santa or anything there, because this was before Bad Santa, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, it was.
Regardless, though, it's this kind of, it's a neat idea around Christmas, especially something you'd see on the Disney Channel. And I never knew the name of this movie, and always just remember the take on Santa Claus. It was always ingrained in my memory because it had such cool gadgetry, which I'll gush over again in a nice category. But regardless, it was there were so many distinct elements to the special. Always kind of stuck out to me. Like, you don't really see that with any other Christmas specials at that time. But here's the trick: was I could never find it because I can never remember the name, and I would know it beat by beat though, because it's just so ingrained in my mind. And at one point I finally got the name of it, and then it's so hard to find, and you know all the story beats, and then eventually we've been wanting to talk about it since last season of Shenanigans, and unfortunately we had no access to it because it would cost an arm and a leg. Not an arm and a leg per se, but it would cost money.
And we don't want to spend money here on the So You Want to Be Imagine Your YouTube channel.
Point is, it's a thing
against spending money.
It's mainly a thing of principle. It's like, $8 for a movie. We know it's probably not. Point, you can't even get this thing on DVD. That's my thing. I need it to be on DVD for me. It's my, if I can help it.
Mm-hmm.
Either DVD or like something you can watch online. Regardless, the point is now we both have access to it, so we finally got a chance to watch it. It was on demand for me, and I was able to watch it. It was just a blast from the past, and it was full of fun because I just remember, like, years later, you factor and you discover, looking back at it, that was Bryan Cranston as our leading character, and it just blew my mind. Because I remember from when I was younger, just watching this. Okay, it's kind of a neat premise. I love the Santa Claus stuff, and then realized, just kind of thinking about, once I finally discovered the title, I was like looking at it one day and I noticed the name, Bryan Cranston. And the weirdest thing, and I swear to God, the last thing I'll also mention with kind of the non-existent backstory we have, you're not gonna believe this. Every time when I would watch this thing, when it would be on Disney Channel, there would be this air of familiarity about the lead character. And
no, I can totally see that. You're like, where have I seen this guy from?
Of course, Bryan Cranston's kind of a known TV character actor many times, and the thing is, I recognized him, unbeknownst to myself at that time. I recognized him as Tim Whatley from Seinfeld. I didn't know it at the time, but that must have been what I was being reminded of.
Okay.
So I've seen that guy before. I've heard his voice. I know this guy, but who is he?
Now, I would have thought that the promotions at the time would be like, watch Malcolm in the Middle's Bryan Cranston and Disney's 'Twas the Night.
Well, when was Malcolm in the Middle?
That was right around the same time.
No, it might have been early in Malcolm Middle's run. Maybe that was the reason why.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, I do remember seeing this once or twice when it came out. It was probably right around the time I was sort of phasing out of watching Disney Channel and Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and all that stuff. So I don't really have the nostalgic connection to it that you do, but watching it over again, there's definitely like enough stuff in there that I kind of jogged my memory, specifically the shrinking of the presents and everything like that. The whole shrinking device, that was what, I'm sure that's something that really kind of sparked you as well, but that was the main thing that I remembered from watching it, way back in 2001.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so unfortunately, I do not know where my list of categories went, so you're going to have to kind of guide us through that, and then we'll reconvene. I'm sorry.
So
I'm looking through my little email of notes.
So let's start out with our characters. Let's break down our characters real quick.
Characters, all right.
Yeah, of course, we have the wonderful, the talented, the Emmy winner multiple times, and probably an Oscar-worthy guy with this new movie out right now, Trumbo. Bryan Cranston as Nick.
Woo!
But Cranston's bringing the charm, bringing the comedy force here as Nick Wrigley's kind of our thief with a heart of gold.
It's weird because this is almost kind of like Malcolm in the Middle meets Breaking Bad in terms of the characterization. Because he's like stumbly and awkward like Hal is, but still he's kind of got that criminal edge to him like Walter White does.
And I mean,
crazy.
yet another reason I kind of try selling it as like, it's Bryan Cranston Steals Christmas is because in that one of the sequences we're going to talk about, he's very Grinch-like in it.
Oh my God, he totally is.
That's the thing. It's just he gets this great kind of this. Basically, this character is mainly. He's not exactly a character more so than a premise. He's a lovable premise. That's what this character is. It's the premise of a guy who's in debt. He's in over his head. He needs to get some cash fast. So he's going to steal from the rich. So he's figuring. Okay, so importantly, I can imagine in the in the writing process, who's ever working on this, they're figuring that, okay, well, we can't have him steal from just your average Joe on the street because that makes him look a little cruel. It makes him look like he's a real scumbag and we can't root for this guy. But if he's stealing from the rich, I mean, it's not good, but it's not him stealing from the destitute.
Yeah, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. It's kind of the Robin Hood thing.
Exactly. So he's figuring, okay, I'm going to steal from people who really will probably not even notice that much in his mind.
Right.
Of course, they're going to be noticing these giant spaces missing in their homes, but regardless. No, but still, I mean, this Nick character, first of all, I love the slant on it being like, Saint Nick. I kind of like that little tongue-in-cheek gag.
I thought that was a little on the nose. That was one of the many Disney Channel original movie cliches, and I'm going to chalk up against it.
Well, look, to be fair, I mean, they never made the joke, though, so that was just a subtle thing. They had it in there.
Yeah, that's true. They never did make, hey, look, it's Saint Nick. I don't know though. When the dad goes to open the door, and it's like, don't they say something like, "Oh, it's Saint Nicholas," and then it's like, "Oh yeah, it's Saint Nick, all right."
Oh, well, that's an issue I have with the naughty category, which I'll
okay.
Well, the issues I have, it's not exactly with just him being named Nick, but I'll tell you what my issue is with it. But it ties into something. The point is, what do you think about anything else you want to say about this? First of all, I love the image of him in this image always burned in my mind from this movie because I always thought it looked great. It's just the Santa Claus again. This is like before Bad Santa kind of did it, but the movie is in many aspects it's a combination of either enough one of them the Disney Channel, Disney related movie. The Santa Claus meets Fred Claus in many aspects.
I don't really see so much the Fred Claus.
Well, I mean, the naughty nice thing is in many respects Fred Claus, but
yeah, I guess so. But Fred Claus is so much more rooted in kind of like the mythology of Santa and everything like that. Whereas Santa here is just kind of a joke, a great joke. Don't get me wrong, Santa here is awesome, but still, he's kind of a joke.
That's fair. I mean, aspects of like the delivery, the route of delivery, and like aspects of the delivery are Fred Claus-esque. But a lot of it is kind of the Santa Claus in terms of like the guy falls. Santa's off. Basically, you taking Santa's place because he's off the job because of you.
Yeah, I mean that right there. Then again, it's basically Disney ripping off itself. So what are we going to do at that point?
I know it's kind of interesting though that they would do that, and again, whether you like it or not, it did kind of work here. I mean, it's just like a fun farce of like, it kind of works. It's pretty funny.
But one other quick thing to add about Nick's character is I really do like the kind of like the uncle and nephew bond that he has.
Oh yes, that's
the main kid that I cannot even for the life of me remember his name.
Danny's our main guy.
Danny. All right.
But what I was saying about Cranston before I get sidetracked with the Santa Claus comparison is that what I just visually loved about him. I just loved he steals Santa's suit at the beginning and he's wearing it throughout the whole movie and like that. He's wearing like the pants with the boots and everything. I just love the look of like the Santa Claus, like the Hawaiian shirt and the T-shirt underneath it, which is
right.
This facial hair for the beard instead of wearing the fake beard. I loved that look.
Well, speaking of facial hair, it's kind of eerie because it's almost the exact same length and style as Walter White's goatee.
Very much so, yes.
It's crazy.
That's the thing. It's just I love this idea of it's like the casual Santa look, and I loved it.
Right, totally.
It feels like it's such an unprofessional Santa Claus.
Yeah, and like you said, it did it before Bad Santa when that became kind of a cliche.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up.
Just one quick thing about the uncle and nephew dynamic. I love the secret handshake that they have when they first get introduced.
It's kind of Baymax,
right?
But actually, let me reference this about the thing. I guess I mentioned this throughout the thing here, but it's also I think it's great that Nick is a likable guy. He is a very likable character in terms of like he loves the family. He's not like trying to scam them 24/7. He actually does, they're his family. So he's the best uncle around on the surface there. You know, these kids love him, and the Cranston charisma just comes about when he just enters the room. You know,
oh, he's just bubbling with charisma.
I mean, Peter, the youngest one, he's going nuts for him. You know, the Peter Cottontail stuff.
Oh, we'll get into Peter. We will.
We will. But, you know, see what I mean, though? It's like he just has great dynamics with the kids, the wife, everyone, but the brother kind of knows that, you know, he's up to something, but he's he's my brother, though. So it's very, I mean, they're very smart with kind of the likability here, and that's with a premise like this, it's something you got to be really careful about, because otherwise you risk having a very unlikable protagonist.
I know that you've only seen like one episode of Gravity Falls, but it very much reminded me of Grunkle Stan from Gravity Falls. Just kind of like, the guy's a common artist and a criminal, but we love him. He's a cool guy. All right. Anyways.
So I guess Danny would be next. Danny's our other.
Yeah.
I don't think Danny was a bad. I don't think he was a bad character. I think he was okay.
He wasn't a bad character. He just kind of like succumbs to the typical like, oh, hey, I'm your 15-year-old white male protagonist in a Disney Channel original movie talking to the camera and everything. Yeah.
Well, again, I have issues. I have big issues with the framing device, and we'll get to that when we get to the negatives. But I do say I love that Danny was kind of the. Again, he was kind of the Fred Claus aspect of the film in many respects. He was the one who's kind of brought the naughty and nice thing to the forefront of, like, you know, he himself is not entirely naughty. He's steered in the wrong direction. I mean, he's not a bad character either. So again, he and Nick are somewhat share a character arc. In many ways, but you know, Danny is just he's this neat kid, but he's misdirected, as kids in this age range can be. You know, they can fall down the wrong path if you're not careful.
I do kind of like the naughty and nice angle they play with him. I think that's a nice angle.
Because you see it throughout the whole thing. He's a good kid. And he's the one who brought the idea of helping Santa Claus here, and he's the one saying, well, maybe we should deliver gifts. I mean, he's a good kid, but he's misdirected. That's at points in the film. He's just manipulated too. So we root for this kid in some aspect.
Yeah, he's definitely manipulated.
That's what I'm saying. So he's not. Yeah, it's not a bad character.
I don't necessarily think I think the acting in general, besides Santa and Bryan Cranston, is pretty poor. But man, it's Disney Channel original movie, kid actors. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of, you know, they're realizing, well, but we gotta go with our star power over the kid, and the kid's serving the plot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess should we get to our other kids?
Yeah, sure.
Let's get to Peter. The young boy character with the cutesy lisp.
Oh my God! Oh, this kid was grating.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the lines on the kid, like kind of his spirit, his Christmas spirit. But again, his performance really just kind of grates on you.
Oh, it was such a. And we've sat through Jake Lloyd, okay?
Yeah.
And I think Jake Lloyd gives a much better fucking performance than this kid does. Just straight up.
I don't know, because again, I think the writing's good on this kid, though. I think I like the ideas and like what this kid is saying. It's his delivery is just, I just kind of write off as cutesy, and that I mean, I'm not crazy about it, but I mean, he's saying some really interesting stuff here.
I do kind of like this. The one scene that I found tolerable with him that I kind of give you props for in terms of the writing is where he's kind of taking after his brother in terms of starting to scam people.
Yeah.
I forget exactly how that's implemented, like the thing with the cookies or something.
You know, at the beginning, okay, that one's kind of actually an issue, but it says that at the beginning there, he's scammed by his brother, and that Danny didn't get to do his Christmas shopping because he's out of cash around the holidays. Only has like $1 in his wallet, and he just realizes it's Christmas Eve, which I'll admit is a big buy.
The film literally starts with like, what do you mean? It's not Christmas Eve. That's tomorrow, you dunce. Oh, wait, it is Christmas Eve. I just forgot.
Yeah, that I don't buy. And the thing is, too, it's like he likes Christmas Eve, and he's all for the holidays, but he's like, yeah, no, don't bother me until it's Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve. What? But, you know, then he basically scams the kid, and basically he sells him crap from his room. It's like junk in his room, and he you know, the kid buys into it. He thinks, oh, my brother's being nice to me. He's letting me buy some stuff. Like, it's a little mini mart inside my house, so I can Christmas.
Right.
That's what he's thinking. So basically, the brother gets cash so he can buy last minute gifts or give away cash. But and then instantly, just to prove the idea is this: Peter doesn't want to get his brother in trouble. And he likes his brother here, but he's still learning from him. And the idea it's kind of the Nick teaching Danny bad habits and Danny teaching Peter bad habits here when Peter goes for a cookie and he accidentally breaks it, and he breaks the cookie jar because well, I'm sorry, yeah, the cookie jar holds money. So yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. It's a really good point here that Peter's trying to get emergency cash because Danny's in need of it right now. So the kid's
exactly. Yeah, right.
So again, the kid is in the same boat as Danny in that he has a heart of gold here, but just going about things the wrong way. But Peter's is the one-off thing though.
All right.
So Caitlin, I have big issues with Caitlin. So, but
she's easily the most cliche Disney Channel original movie character. It's like, oh hey, the smart tech savvy kid.
That's the thing. At least Peter has some dimension. That's what we got to give the kid, whether we like the performance or not. He's got some dimension. I'll agree. Kayla, no dimension. She's the most cliche thing in there, but I like the performance. At first isn't that bad, but then cliche written. It's written entirely cliche, and it's a cookie cutter of a Disney Channel sister.
Absolutely.
But yeah, at first not too bad. Again, Cranston saying hello to everyone, everyone's perfectly fine. But later on in the scene, I'm going to mention when I get to negatives. So she really just it's really great, and we'll get to it. She sounds very quickly. She just turns to like the negative element. She's actually my worst part of the movie, actually, to be honest with you. Later on.
I would agree.
Second worst because I know what the worst aspect is.
Well, I do think she's not the worst element, but she's most definitely the most lazy element.
Yeah, definitely lazy. But when I say worse with this, what I'm going to bring up with a group of our characters here, it's just they're really silly. I guess is more so than bad. It's really silly in that place. Okay, so Santa Claus. First of all, Santa Claus, great actor playing Santa. There's the. I'm sorry, not. Let me see the great performance by the actor for Santa Claus.
Is it just an unknown?
No, it's something Mapin.
Because you got me excited there for a second.
Right.
I was like, oh, who is it?
Well, I tried to correct myself last minute there because I meant to.
No, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It is a good performance. It's a very silly Santa Claus, which I like.
Yeah, it's a very lovable Santa Claus. He's just like it's such an optimistic worldview Santa has. He's just like the nicest. He's a nice yet absent-minded guy. Like it's such a realistic take on Santa Claus that he's just trying to adapt to the modern world, and it's just not his bag.
Mm-hmm.
And you love him for it. Like this guy, he's the happy-go-lucky guy who just keeps getting devoid of hope as the movie goes on.
Exactly.
And you feel for the guy. I mean, it's a fun Santa Claus aside from just the really silly bit where how he gets knocked out always bugs me. He trips and because they didn't want to do the Santa Claus thing. It actually is very similar to the Santa Claus thing where initially Tim Allen was supposed to shoot him, but then they changed it because they obviously didn't want your protagonist shooting.
Oh dear God! Oh man. So that's our hero for the whole Santa Claus trilogy, kids.
So here they changed it, so they didn't want Bryan Cranston to whack him on the head, so they had to have him trip. Because again, they want the Cranston to be likable, despite the fact that he's stealing from people, so they can't have him be, he knocked out poor Santa Claus. So again, it's a contrivance you have to have. It's like, how does he get knocked out? Well, he trips. Oh, come on, that's lazy. But we have nothing else. But so yeah, this guy actually is one of my favorite Santa Clauses in all of the Christmas specials. Really, he's like in the top 10. It really is that. I like him a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So then who else do we got?
Like real quick, we got just the combination of John and Abby, just Nick's brother and sister-in-law.
I think Nick's brother is like really a stick in the mud in a very unlikable kind of way.
Yeah, but I mean, I like that he knows his. I kind of like the idea that he's against his brother somewhat because he knows what he is, and it's supposed to be kind of the sad thing where it's like obviously his brother is the favorite in the house, and of course like his son is gravitating towards the brother because the brother is kind of the parental figure in that he's like the fun-loving guy. He's the fun mentor character, and the father is not getting any respect from the kid because he has to lay down the law. So you feel a little bad for him. But yeah, we don't really have enough time to kind of get on John's side, which is a problem. And I'm saying
because he just drops out of the movie after 5 minutes.
That's the thing. But I like how he is he's the parent who has to put the foot down, even though he hates doing it. I think they got that across. They got the seeds of that across, but unfortunately, they don't grow.
I unfortunately think that he came across like a little too harsh. And then when he had that one line like, oh, I hate doing that, I didn't think it was enough. I was like, okay, yeah, you hate doing that, but still, you're kind of just a dick.
Yeah, the problem was, I think...
It's like, just just like, what's wrong with this kid like staying up an extra half hour to hang out with his uncle? You know what I mean?
That was that's the exact issue. That's the exact moment where that moment it's really forced. Do you remember this is the one thing I cannot for the life of me remember even after rewatching it today. There's just one forgettable element to me. It's just this one moment where when Santa Claus is on the roof, did Danny just disobey his father and stick down there with Nick, or did he somehow get out of bed because he heard something?
I think he gets out of bed like to check up, because he goes downstairs at the same time as Nick's checking it out, and then they're like, "Oh, I thought it was you. No, I thought it was you."
Okay, that's why.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it wasn't just like disobeying the father or anything.
No.
It's again Danny, good kid at the core there. But yeah, you're right. Very forced from the father's perspective there on that one. I'll give you that one 100%. Yeah, it's very like we need like no, we can't have fun Bryan Cranston time. We can.
Right.
No, he sells meth. Get out of here.
And this character, I would not be surprised if this character actually did sell meth.
No,
really
wouldn't. He's too Pinkman-esque to sell meth.
Okay. I'm just saying, he's got a lot of debt. He's looking for ways to make some quick cash.
Again, it's like a timely thing. If $30,000 seemed like a lot back then, but now it's not as much.
That's very true. It's kind of like the Dr. Evil, like $1 million.
It's so sad because it hasn't been that many years for that much inflation.
Yeah, you're right.
The sad part.
It's 2001, and then now it's 2015, 2016.
Like, how would you think the equivalent would be? Like the spitball, like an amount, like
what, $30,000
like
back then?
What do you think that equivalent?
Oh, this is making me feel old, but I'd say maybe like it's gone up maybe to maybe like 40 to 50,000. Something like that. I don't want to highball it too much, but
okay. Well, speaking of which, our last kind of character thing to go by here would be, let's just say our group of villains, which include Bill, Harry, and Elliot. Elliot being the most memorable, but basically the two nerdy guys are Bill and Harry.
Bill and Harry are definitely like.
So
they're over the top for sure, and I don't necessarily think they fit in.
Yeah, that's my issues. I mean, it's like between them and the girls being the worst part of the movie, and that they really just like they're the cheesiest element of the movie.
At the same time, I can't deny that they're entertaining now.
Yeah, they're kind of entertaining, but it's like, what if you took the skater twins from Better Call Saul, but made them just a little less cool?
It made them like the villains of Breaking Bad for a season.
It's like, what if you swapped out the twins? I'm saying you swapped out just the regular intimidating twins that Hank Schrader went up against, and you put in the skater.
Here we go.
And you put in the skater kids.
Okay, now I want to see someone like edit that together, like the whole season 3 cold open of them like crawling along to the shrine and everything, but just have the skateboarder kids doing.
Well, I'll
that.
tell you what I'd love to see edited from Breaking Bad, because of course we have to have a moment of Breaking Bad references in this.
Oh, of course.
So here's what I'd love to see edited together. I'd love to see edited together like Bryan Cranston as Nick from this movie, freaking out over them holding Lappy the laptop. The idea is that's Nick's other thing. He's a hacker. He's kind of a computer guy, and he does a lot of online trading and stuff.
Yeah.
So
that laptop is like super state of the art, man.
It's got stickers and everything.
Right.
Oh yeah, but seriously though, Cranston like freaking out of their laptop and a scene we'll talk about, but I just wish it was edited with the end of that just Jesse Pinkman magnetizing that one laptop. Yeah, magnets. If they could just somehow edit that.
Oh.
Somehow edit that laptop with Jesse Pinkman throwing the laptop. Please don't do anything to it. Then cut to Jesse Pinkman.
I really want to do that now. I really want to do that.
Please, not Lappy, and then cut to Pinkman.
Yeah, magnets, bitch. All right.
Okay. So I guess dynamics, which we've talked about for the most part. I think there's only really two dynamics. Just one, Nick and Danny,
because as we said, I think most of the characters besides Cranston are kind of cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, but really our breakdown is between Nick and Danny, and the other one would be Santa and the kids.
Sure.
But Nick and Danny, again, they got a good back and forth going on there. Danny's kind of the heart and soul and the straight man, where where Nick is kind of the manipulator. He's kind of the it's like the brains of Bud Abbott in the body of Lou Costello. It's essentially that's it. It's like the comedic,
terrifying combination.
It's the comedic force, the comedic force and presence and delivery of Lou Costello with the mind of Bud Abbott.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's the schemer. He's the one coming up with the ideas and carrying them out in a very comedic fashion.
Yeah, but they, it's fine. It's a little bit of a lie revealed.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll get into it when we get to some scenes here. But if they're going to
it's a good liar revealed scene. Don't get me wrong. And
that's what I'm saying. I think the liar reveal, to their credit, I mean, it went by fast. It went by humorously, and basically, it was out of all the liar reveals we've seen that's gone to a long, dragged about way. I mean, at least it was quick and it was less entertaining.
That's the thing, is that it does kind of last throughout most of the movie.
Oh, well, I mean, the lie reveal in this case, like the reveal itself, like kind of taken from the lie reveal itself.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, but with their dynamic though, is just one last thing about it, is that the two of them, two of them together, again, they are very reflective characters to each other. This is why they gel so well together, is that they are both like Danny reflects what he was at that age. It was kind of the kid on the cusp of he's good at technology because of Nick, and they've kind of rubbed off on each other in many ways. And by the end of it, Danny has given his ethics to Nick in response to all the cool stuff Nick has given to Danny.
Right.
Which is kind of sweet. It's kind of a neat dynamic. Yeah, I think they worked. I think Cranston took the kid under his wing in many aspects of this movie.
He most definitely took the kid. He was like, "Here, kid, I'll give you some of my charisma and interesting character development."
Which, I mean, I think it's kind of worked. That he used the kid as a good straight man. I think it was smart for Cranston to do that for him.
Yeah. Okay.
So Kassan and the kids. What do you think of that dynamic?
I mean, I don't really think the kids get much character development.
No, it's kind of like the idea of the girls kind of infusing the real world logic to Santa Claus. Like she's the smart one in the group, or the kids kind of as Santa Claus gets more and more disillusioned, he's like, "No, you can't give up Santa."
Well, it is kind of a funny, it's a funny sort of contrast to see the kids kind of leading Santa around and being sort of the smart people in the room, whereas Santa, he's just obviously just so taken off by
he's driving a minivan. Have you ever?
Technology.
You've never seen Santa Claus drive a minivan.
Right.
Well, except for Santa Claus 2, but
Oh, God. Or Christmas with the Cranks.
Well, I mean, it's not so. that was a bug. That wasn't a minivan. That was a bug.
All right, fair enough.
That was Herbie's cousin.
Oh, God.
That was Herbie's powder blue cousin.
Okay.
Okay, but you're right. But that's what I mean with the dynamic, though. It's just kind of like Santa in a position he's never been in before with these kids. He's at the mercy of these kids directing him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
Some of our favorite scenes.
Favorite scenes. All right, you want to go first, or should I go?
Okay, I'll go first. So one of my favorite scenes, I think, is very defining of the film here would be it's again, kind of I mentioned some of the Fred Claus aspects. I love the idea of every kid gets a gift around Christmas time from Santa Claus, and just depending on how naughty and nice they are, that factors into the quality of the gift. And I love that idea. So there's a naughty kid here who basically gets into a lot of fights, and smartly, Danny here, he's looking at the readout here, and he's figuring, wait a minute, okay, so this kid gets into a lot of fights, and because he has anger issues, okay? Well, he's angry, so getting the gift he doesn't want for Christmas is going to make him angry, so how's that going to help things? So he figures out the therapeutic gift for the kid, which I thought was brilliant. And this is where Danny kind of earns his rights as a character. I think it's some interesting stuff where he factors, he looks at the readout, he basically plants in a new gift, what would be recommended, goes into the bags, he explains it to Nick what he got him, says, well, it's a punching bag, because, if he gets angry, just even punch the bag instead of other kids,
Totally.
And, Nick commends him on this, and it's the really neat scene where then we get some background about Nick here, when Nick's mentioning. Basically, it's a good scene that feeds into feeds into Nick's story as well. It's just highlighting Danny's, what Danny brings to this character and brings to the plot here, naughty and nice isn't as clearly as defined as Nick represents as a character, and as Danny also represents as a character. With the whole, he wanted a guitar for Christmas, and maybe had he gotten that, he would have, amounted to different things in his life. That's what he's figuring. Basically, it's kind of like the Johnny, the Johnny 8-in-1 gun, the 8-in-1 Army Man gun from Jingle All the Way. You know, that one guy he turned into a billionaire. Me, I'm a mailman. We're safari hat. And Martin Mull's laughing at my knee socks.
Why do you have to bring Sinbad into this? Come on.
Or it's Jake Lloyd becoming an alcoholic around the holidays. Mailman.
Here's to you, Dad.
Again, that's the best delivery he had in that movie.
No, that's the best delivery Jake Lloyd's had ever.
Yes.
That was the pinnacle of his acting career.
Just the punching bag sequence is kind of the hallmark of the movie, in my opinion. That's it. Really kind of sums up the moral of the movie.
Right. And I'll wager to say, I think this movie has some of the best kind of, I don't want to say world building, but just sort of like illogical logic when it comes to the Santa stuff.
Yes, that's exactly it.
I would say I would probably have it be like second only to maybe Arthur Christmas.
I think that would be fair.
Because I think Arthur Christmas is probably the best Christmas movie ever made in terms of just world building and just having all this illogical logic everywhere, and that's kind of what the movie's all about.
But let's just say with Prep and Landing, you might just want to keep that in mind because there's also some great world building in that. I'm kind of
expecting Prep and Landing to sort of be the original Arthur Christmas.
That's the idea. Prep and Landing is similar to Arthur Christmas in aspects of like they updating the delivery method, making it really cool.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, actually, I think I might have mentioned Twas the Night when we were doing Arthur Christmas when we were talking about it. I think I might have mentioned it there about the whole Santa delivery thing.
I think you probably did. We brought up Twas the Night several times.
Yes, because I love the Santa aspect of this movie, like the logic, but we'll get to that with other stuff. So you take us through a moment here.
Okay, so my first favorite scene is just the introduction of Bryan Cranston because, you sit through about 5 minutes of like, oh, this is my family, and this is my cute, adorable little brother, and this is my know-it-all little sister, and I'm just like, oh God, this is Disney Channel I've ever seen.
It's like the Disney Channel going to like a library somewhere. Like, okay, you get
right.
a little bit of this, like a little library of like disc of like edits of like okay, throw this in there, throw this into the pot, throw this into the pot, okay, stir it up, and there's our movie.
But then we get Cranston, and oh my God, the second Cranston comes into the picture, it's obviously just full steam ahead. So
Bryan Cranston in a Hawaiian shirt and then a t-shirt underneath.
Yes. He's tied to a chair. He's got like the classic Breaking Bad goatee, which blew my mind how similar he looks to Walter White here.
I was hoping you were going to pick up on that.
Oh, I picked up on that right away. So, like I said, I think the reason I love this scene so much is just because it's so oddly prophetic in terms of like, this is going to be almost like a blueprint for a Breaking Bad scene. Because it's Walter White getting shaken down and trying to con his way out of the situation. He's trying to deal with the criminals. He's trying to get out of it. And I don't know, that's why I really attach to it. I mean, can you think of any like memorable lines here?
Well, I remember like when Elliot's like crunching his nose, and it's like the hilarious, like instead of something horrible happening to Walter White, it'd be like something so comedic and over the top. They're just like pinching his nose just so bad stuff's gonna happen. It's like the comedic equivalent of like Danger in the Disney Channel universe. So like
exactly.
All this sumo like guys like crunching your nose, and he's like comedically yelling over the top, kind of like Bonsai Palace from Fight Club. Like Cranston's reaction to his presence is him yelling in response to it in an over the top fashion. It's like just then he crunches the nose and like brings him close. You pay us 30,000.
And then I love his reaction. He's just like, all right, I get the picture. I'll give you the money. And I'm like, oh my God, that's such a Walter White thing.
There's a hilarious gag of like one of the business associates here is like crushing the cocoa cup, and it burns his hand. Right. And the other one first seems like he's going to his aid, like, oh, let me blow on it. Just get out of here.
Now I just want to see Gus Fring torturing Walter White with hot cocoa.
I just want to. Can you imagine the Breaking Bad equivalent to the ending of this? It would be like, no, Ellie, listen to me. If you kill Danny, you will not get your money. How does that help you?
That's what I'm saying, man. The entire setup of this movie feels like something out of Breaking Bad. It's crazy.
Bill, Harry, tell Elliot I can give you your money. Just tell him I can do that. I need Danny by my side, though, or else you get no money.
Oh my god. All right, go ahead with your next favorite scene.
Also, it's very Breaking Bad-esque in like comedic top fashion. This is Cranston bringing his kind of his Hal training through all these years to the forefront here, when he leaves. Here's a hilarious line. One last thing to help your moment here is it's just the minute they leave, they tell him, don't leave town, which obviously for the plot to where he leaves town. But the instant they close the door, see, I won't leave town. Door closes, like 1 second passes. Time to get out. And he basically kind of crawl space styles, moving at Mach speed, just like he's wearing everything. He's like grabbing the laptop by a string as he's like going down the fire escape. Really cool.
I have one little nitpick with that though, and it's like
he should be carrying it a lot better.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, he can totally leave town. Like, yeah, do that. That's what I would do as well. But for fuck's sake, man, at least wait until the people are, like, away from your apartment complex. Give it, like, maybe a half hour. I don't know.
Yeah, but it looks like Elliot's waiting for him. He's guarding the outside of the building, so.
Yeah, I guess so, but nah.
My logic issue is, why didn't you just go to the other side of the building? Why leave
There's a couple logic issues here.
I mean, yeah, it's not a perfect movie, but it's silly.
Well, it's Disney Channel, so.
These are the same people that brought us lost the name. The Full Court Miracle. Yeah, it's the Irish, the kid turning into a leprechaun playing basketball.
The Luck of the Irish.
That's Luck of the Irish. What's Full Court Miracle then?
Full Court Miracle. Oh, I don't know.
That's Luck of the Irish.
I know the one where the kid's the leprechaun is called Luck of the Irish.
Okay.
Anyway,
sorry, we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, we are.
We need to talk about more Disney Channel original movies.
We should. I'd be totally down for that.
So many silly ones.
There's the one where remember the one where Frankie Muniz plays the quadriplegic, like, slot car driver or something like that.
That's a movie?
Yeah.
No, I've never seen that.
Yeah, he's a quadriplegic, and he's like racing like I don't know what it is, like a go-kart or something like that, like low-level kart racing.
You remember Phantom of the Megaplex?
No, okay, we're getting way off topic.
Yes, sorry, back on track.
We could do a whole podcast just like, hey, remember this movie? Remember that movie?
Okay. So one of my absolute favorite nostalgic sequences, if I can remember one thing from this movie, it is this one scene aside from the introduction of this idea, but I love the payoff. The payoff is basically the culmination of the beginning of our liar reveal fallout here. Mm-hmm. I love it when Danny finally wises up and he realizes that he's been Nick has been stealing items from all the rich people's houses, and then he basically says, you've been stealing from this house, and you've been stealing from these houses all night, haven't you? He says, no, I haven't. He pulls out these responses isn't like, no, you're lying to me. It's just he pulls out the ornament device.
No, Cranston is like, stuff? What stuff? And he's got this big diamond ring on his finger as he's saying that.
Danny doesn't respond to him. He pulls out the ornament and he pushes the button that unshrinks everything. And this shot will always stick with me from this movie.
Oh, it's great.
Basically, if you're going to do a lie reveal, this is the way you do a lie reveal. He pushes the button, just doesn't give him like a response or anything. He just pushes the button, and basically all the items from that he's been stealing. And we've seen these items. You can track these items, by the way, like the piano, the armchairs, everything, the car, the Hot Wheels car that suddenly turns into it. Basically, all the items from. He's basically been developing a gut through the movie because he's been stuffing the items in his coat. Mm-hmm. So now, out of his coat, all the items unshrink to the full-size version of those items in this huge hallway, and basically there's so many of them, again, right up against his chest here, it keeps lifting him and lifting him and lifting him, Dr. Seussian style, all the way to the ceiling where he's almost crushed to death. Mm-hmm. It's just... And then the instant he denies, like, what stuff, or whatever he was saying, there's in response to it. Danny then reshrinks them, and then he falls all the way to the ground. It's hilarious, it's absurd, and it's so funny to me. That's the way you do a lie reveal. Just proof is in the pudding, like all this stuff. Oh, what stuff? Oh, that stuff. Well, I don't know. No, I remember his rationale was I'm trying to think his rationale was something like, okay, I'll tell you, Danny, I'll tell you the truth.
He's collecting items for like a charity for raising benefit for good things or something.
Yeah, just good things. The lamest excuse you can imagine. Then he just irresponsibly re-shrinks everything and he falls right down. Like all the items are stuck to his face and stuff. Like he's like the Stradivarius, like peels off his face. Stradivarius? Just very hilarious. Just one of my absolute favorite scenes in this entire movie. If I can just take one scene, it's that one. Okay.
All right. So let's see. I guess my second scene would probably be the Santa tickle fight.
Ah, yes, this is a good one. So Santa's in a car and he's accosted by some street toughs.
Well, they're going through this like shady alley. There's like some street thugs like doing graffiti, and I just love the logic of like Santa decided to take the shortcut. Even though he can barely drive, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to take the shortcut." Santa, I don't think taking the shortcut was quite a good idea.
Yep. And because there are graffiti artists here aren't getting out of the way, and in response to him beating the horn saying, "Oh, I need these guys to move, so I get out of the way." They don't respond to it. Kind of like they're like shoving the car. Santa gets out of it. And by the way, I love the costume design of Santa Claus. They went with the big cape Santa Claus.
Yeah, right, totally.
Love the big cape Santa Claus. You don't see that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, he gets out of the car. I'm sorry, takes. Oh my god.
Yeah, so well, first of all, there's that whole big to-do about like, don't get out of the car, Santa, lock the doors. And Santa, he's just not listening. I just love how oblivious Santa is to this whole situation. He's like, well, these are just good little boys who need. He just thinks they're fine. He just thinks the whole situation's fine. So, anyways, he gets out of the car. Kind of confrontation sets in. I forget exactly how the confrontation.
Can you imagine if this was Tuco? He was dueling with.
No. We've had too many sidetracks. Let's.
Okay. Go on. So basically, Pablo, the leader of this group, is getting into it with him, but wonderfully so. Take us through it.
Isn't he just straight up like antagonizing him for no reason?
Well, no. Remember he tries fighting him, and then.
No, I know, but like they basically just like they're just kind of ganging up on him just because he asked them to move, right? That's it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it's very ridiculous, and yeah, they're ganging up on him, and then Santa, what does Santa do? He pulls out the ticklers.
And basically they're getting, the guy wants to get into a fight with him. He's throwing some punches, but what I love about this is Santa doesn't throw a single punch. In response, he just tickles him at every turn. Like he does this awesome flip.
And you gotta look. Oh my god, yeah, the flip is amazing. I'm like, yeah, Santa, yeah.
Like, tickle foo, that's awesome. He's not. Again, that's what you want Santa Claus to do. You want Santa Claus that's not afraid to get into it with a guy, but he's not gonna hurt him because that's not very un-Santa-like.
He like runs up the side of a wall like Matrix style.
I know, that's awesome. It's like the most one. That's what you want Santa Claus to do. Like a guy who's gonna win the day by not fighting, but by tickling a guy, bringing out the inner child. That's wonderful.
Totally.
And then they gets buddy with him. He finds out. He says, basically, oh man, you gotta respect. Any of you tell anyone this, you're gonna have to deal with me. I don't tickle. And then he takes Santa by the arm. And he's like saying, so Santa Claus basically said, man, listen, you want to be part of our gang? Oh, it's very generous of you, but we have somewhere to be. And then he says, oh, you shouldn't be in this neighborhood. It's a bad neighborhood. Like, what would you suggest? And says they basically they give him an escort essentially to the computer store.
Yeah, the street thugs become very neighborly.
And then it's so wonderful. I love the mundanity of, oh yeah, well, they're not your average street thugs. Now they've earned some respect. They're all buddies.
Right.
And the Santa Claus mentioning, then we get the guy's names. Is, oh, thank you, Pablo. Now, boys, check your stockings. There'll be something special for you tomorrow. Oh, what good lads. Just that's wonderful. Great.
And just to top it all off, the best part about this scene is just Santa's delivery of, tickle, 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 tickle.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work on Elliot, who apparently is not ticklish.
Elliot's got, like, tickle, I don't know, anti-tickle powers. I was going to make a clever joke, but then it just dropped.
I have a Breaking Bad reference. I'm going to abstain from it.
Fair enough. All right, so get to your third moment.
Okay, my third moment would be I guess it's kind of two moments. It's like one's a brief bit. There's like one I'm just gonna point out real quick is that there's this Breaking Bad. There's one moment in this film where you can see Walter White. Actually, see Walter White. I kid you not. I'm serious. There's one moment. The minute after Nick dons the Santa suit, after he like steals the guy's Santa suit into John, after he dons the suit and he's getting out of there with the beard and everything covering him. He gets out of there because he knows Elliot's waiting for him on the outside, and Elliot spots him and says, "Hey, you, wait a minute." And then he gives a look to him. And that look right there is Walter White. I'm serious. If you freeze framed it and you look, he gives the defeated look of like Walter White of just like kind of the mouth hanging open. He just gives like the exasperated. I'm talking like the fugue state Walter White, kind of like the defeated mouth hanging open. That look. It's like
that famous shot in Ozymandias, right?
Yeah, it's just the eyes looking like, I'm so not in the mood for this. Just giving that look. It's just like for one glimpse, you have one glimpse at actual Walter White. He sneaks his way in there because there's no hair scene and the beard's covering up just the eyes of Walter White in one scene. It's brilliant. Okay, otherwise, in my actual moment, that's just a little thing I always tickles. That's the most Walter White-esque you get in this thing. I love when Nick comes back, saves the day again. Kind of another Walter White thing. Just him saving the day being awesome. That's all that connects to it. Just him coming back there. He's using all the stuff that tripped him up when he learned about the device and how it works, and he's using it against the bad guys, which is cool. It's just awesome when he shrinks Elliot down to a little tiny thing. Yeah, it's kind of sad when our big bad is just like three guys. One of them actual threat, the other dude's nerdy guys.
Yeah, they're like really nerdy and obnoxious.
Yeah, I mean,
the best characters.
Again, you kind of wish the villains were better, but still facing off against them is pretty cool. Though, just like him shrinking the one guy.
Though.
Yeah, Elliot does. But just the fact that he shrinks them, and then we cut to him fully sized, just panicking. They're driving out of there. Fast, go faster! Yeah, it's just Nick coming back heroically to save the day. Santa Claus and the kids seem like they're gonna be in big trouble as they're threatening to destroy the house. You will not destroy this fine home here. And just Nick coming around with his character arc, just saying, you know what, I have your money right here, but I can't in good conscience give it to you because I've taken it from people. I'm going to be giving it back. Just like you're showing that he's come a long way. It was just nice. Anyway.
Also, one thing, I think it is a little depressing, the idea that he is going to have to sell off his Jimi Hendrix guitar to pay off his debts.
Yeah, part of me wishes.
That's kind of like a thing that's hanging over the end.
Yeah, part of me would like to think he doesn't, even though he says he will. But
he gets to play that like metal version of Jingle Bells, but he's gonna have to still trade it in.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it goes a long way to show you that technically he doesn't have to pay those guys, but he's willing to because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
They're not gonna mess with him after he shrunk one of them. But it's just showing that's how far he's come as a character. They're still willing to pay the debt, which he is in the wrong for. Because bear in mind, our villains aren't in the wrong necessarily because he did screw them out of $30,000.
Right. Okay, so I guess my third favorite scene would be, first of all, I like the setup of them going to rob the rich people place. It's got a specific
the mansion,
title,
like
right?
always had like the rich family's name, then the mansion.
I like the setup where it's like, Nick kind of comes up with this whole like, oh, well, we'll give the soup kitchen dinner to the rich people, and then we'll give the rich people dinner to the homeless. I'm like, yeah, I actually kind of like that. That's kind of like a good, a really good, nice Christmas for the homeless, and then kind of like a humble sort of like, learning to appreciate the things you have sort of Christmas for the rich people.
Yes, Danny, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh God.
It's great. It's this. He has good logic. He's a good manipulator like that. It's like he's making some sense that you can buy a 14-year-old kid buying this.
Right. Now, throughout the whole movie, we see Cranston just gleefully going around and like, ooh, what's this? Ooh, that looks nice. I'm going to shrink it.
This is like, what if the Grinch just lingered on the thefts a little more? He's very Grinch-like in this sequence.
Oh yeah, totally. So he's in this, he's in the rich people manor. And he's just going, and he's just having a ball. He's just in heaven. He's already acquired like quite a bit of stuff. He's got the car at this point. So I'm sure he's already paid off the $30,000. At this point, he's just being greedy. At this point, he's just taking for himself. But my favorite sight gag, probably in this whole special, is the thing with the champagne. where, you know, everything's frozen in time, and he comes upon the champagne, and he, you know, the champagne's being poured into a glass in midair, and I think it's really neat. He kind of lifts up the champagne bottle, the champagne that's still being poured. It's kind of like this solid substance, and he just, you know, takes a lick, just a lick.
And then he puts it back, but then he realizes, no, we have him spill it on this lady in front of him. So he directs it out of the glass.
I love the imagery of, you know, the champagne, like just the solid frozen substance of the champagne
like
being
the popsicle
poured.
Champagne.
Right.
But you know, there's one other thing in that sequence I really love with all the freezing gags.
Mm-hmm.
It's I love. There's this thing that always stuck in my mind nostalgically. Just I always remember this bit. I don't know why. It's just always stuck out to me. Just Cranston just hamming it up, and it was wonderful. It's just him. There's this one lady. The lady takes the diamond from. Oh, this diamond. Oh, it's so wonderful. And they like. I guess she's the lead rich person that the house is named after. I don't know.
Sure, why not?
The point is, like he's saying, oh, like lady something or other, you know, like she, you know, the one lady who basically, your lips are puckered out. And he says, oh, what's that? What's that? He gets closer and he basically forces a kiss from this lady to him. He says, oh, you naughty.
Oh my God.
Which always cracks me up, you know. He takes the diamond and says, oh, what's that? Oh, naughty.
Yeah, once again, it's just, I just want to, like, you could basically call my favorite moment just all of the stuff where Cranston just going around and delightfully stealing from people. Just, ooh, what's this? Now, one of the things I did notice, BlueDragonFive, just really quick, the first few things he steals are kind of like random, and I wouldn't really think they're worth a ton of money. Like,
well, I mean, there's a nice chair, a piano.
Yeah, the piano, sure, but he steals the candle holder, and then the ottoman, you know, the foot recliner. Not even a chair, just a footrest.
Well, it might be like an antique though.
I guess so. I don't know.
I don't know. It's like they're kind of basically he's working with what he has, so it's not all the houses are super fancy, but you know,
that's true.
They're like in the rich district. That's the idea. People do well for themselves.
Mm-hmm. I just thought the candle and the footstool were kind of random, but anyways, that's
like an old candelabra, yeah, kind of
right.
Like silverware. I don't know.
Okay, but that's all I got.
Okay, I guess our next segment will be the nice
and the naughty.
But yeah, the naughty, but we're starting with the nice.
All right.
So what elements we really liked? So let me start here. So again, the big element I love, again, nostalgically I love, and just like the illogical logic of this whole thing, just like is the reason I wanted to explore this a lot. Basically, the reason this is one of my favorite interpretations of Santa Claus. I love a gadget-based Santa Claus. I think that's awesome. I really do. It makes sense, and it's very original. Just this idea of he has this ornament-like device. The ornament has it just they express very visually very well in that one sequence where they're kind of they're happening upon the unconscious Santa Claus, and they're kind of examining the device and they're figuring how it works. It's just 3 buttons. One button shrinks things. One button teleports. Breaks you down to 90s, the early 2000s. Animation of just going around like little beaters, teleport you up to the sleigh, like an automatic.
The effects in this movie are much better than the Santa Claus 3. I'll give it that much.
They are, but you see what I mean, though. It's like these 3 functions that make absolute sense for being helpful for Santa Claus. Like 1 shrinks the gift, so basically he can just carry 1 big bag, which has all the gifts in the world in there.
Mm-hmm.
2, you have a thing that teleports you, but it's not just teleporting you, it's just teleporting you to this one set location. It teleports you from wherever you are to the sleigh, which is very handy, as you can imagine. And third of all, it freezes time, so you get like an added bonus of however much time you want to spend in this one frozen house. And you get out of there, and you set things the way they are. So whether the kids are asleep or not, you just go around there, you drop off your gifts, get out of there. Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. It like freezes time to give them kind of a boost of like going around the world with those 3 things in mind. It makes absolute sense of how we can do it all in one night. And the idea of computerizing the sleigh, it's not a bad idea. It's the idea of Santa Claus. Well, he can't use reindeer this year because of remember this, the reindeer flu?
Yes, that was kind of random.
Yeah, what do you think of the reindeer flu? Because apparently it affects humans and reindeer.
I think they're lucky that this was made before like the whole swine flu and the bird flu thing became a thing, because I think maybe if the reindeer flu was tried to be done now, it would be maybe in poor taste.
Yeah, yeah.
That was just the one thing I kind of. But you can say a lot. I mean, we have the whole, the bomb going off and Jingle All the Way. That totally wouldn't fly now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then you see what I mean? There's the idea of this computerized sleigh. It's like, okay, well, if you could, would you do it without the reindeer being the encumbrance of like 8 reindeer? You would try out just like a sleigh itself as a main vehicle. And of course, this is the reason they probably put that in there is because they didn't want to just have to do the thing where they have to CG a bunch of reindeer.
Oh, I'm sure.
Or at least they just want to say, well, let's try it without the reindeer once. Just make it easier on ourselves. We just have one sleigh, one little set to work on. We just can move it up and down, So again, the point is that computerizing the sleigh isn't a bad idea too, and of course the parallel they have, like Santa Claus isn't too techno savvy, and he's used to the old ways.
Right.
It's an interesting thing, and also of course some other nice things. Of course, Cranston is a lot of fun as a con man.
It goes without saying that Cranston is a nice. He without Cranston, we would not be talking about this movie.
Yeah, well, again, it's Cranston and that Santa stuff is the reason I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Santa stuff is fine. The Santa stuff is really good, really creative. But if they would have just had any old lead actor in here, this movie would be utterly forgettable.
That's fair. But it's like you see Cranston he's the con man who's genuinely good with kids, and he's not a bad guy. That's the main thing. Again, that one sequence of him just like greeting the kids is perfect. You instantly get this guy and you love him. Despite you see him cheating some guys out of their money essentially, but you still love him because he's just so good with his family.
Right, right.
It's a decent premise, the idea of, okay, well, you're able to freeze time, and freeze time, shrink things. You get this really cool device that Santa Claus is able to do all these things with, and our con man gets the idea. Well, I have to settle my debts. Go to rich people's houses. I take some of the additional stuff they have, and make sure I don't get my legs broken.
Of course, a nice element of this movie is how lovable they make the Santa Claus, and the fact that the Santa Claus has an emotional arc, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, it's like this optimistic Santa Claus
right.
in this cynical setting and situation who's just becoming more and more disillusioned, and he's changed by the end too. He realizes his naughty and nice thing is like, I got to factor in more gray into my naughty and nice things, not black and white. Again, a lot of Fred Claus in that respect.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, just all the symmetrics of the naughty and nice thing, and how how you measure what present you give a kid based on the amount of times they've been naughty. That stuff is all really good.
Yeah, it's just this fantastic concept. It's like, by the end of Fred Claus, it's like every kid gets a gift because no kid's just purely naughty. But I love the idea that it's Santa Claus will give you you'll get a gift from Santa Claus, which is why Nanny in the past has gotten kind of lousy. Occasionally lousy gifts, or the gifts he didn't want, like a disco CD.
I thought that was great. The best disco hits of the 70s.
Which, by the way, American Dad, I guess accidentally took that or something.
Oh no!
Remember they went back in time for one of their Christmas specials, and it was like the disco hits of the 70s, which made Roger a big success in the 70s.
Right.
Okay, but regardless, it's a great idea that if everyone gets a gift, which is something that again until Fred Claus we really haven't seen that. It's usually like they don't get anything or they get coal.
Sure,
but here it's like the idea of Santa Claus. He's so nice, he gives everyone a gift, but he'll give them like a lousy gift, which it's a great idea and it makes sense.
It's like a logic in terms of like those years where you get like socks for Christmas. Oh wait, hold on. You know what? BlueDragonFive, ask me what you want for Christmas.
What do you want for Christmas?
You know what I want for Christmas, BlueDragonFive?
What?
Because I'm taking them off of my feet right now. I want some black socks. All right. I'm sorry.
Also, I wanted to point out that they did the smart thing too of like it's sometimes specials go back and forth on this, especially like a Disney Channel thing where it's established that the parents get the majority of the gifts, and Santa Claus isn't just bringing all the gifts; he's bringing a number of them.
Right, isn't it the whole thing is like there's one gift specifically from Santa?
Yeah, per kid.
I like that.
That's what I'm saying. That's the Santa Claus. I hate it when people just like they go like in Family Guy, their Roads of the North Pole episode. It's like the idea of Santa Claus is an accepted fact, but like they're so stupid they don't do their own Christmas shopping.
Right.
So they leave it all to Santa Claus, and when he doesn't deliver, it's like nothing.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so that's all I really got for the nice. Again, mainly a lot of it just stemming from just this gadget-based Santa Claus, which all this logic attached to the universe and the judgments there. And again, it's the character arc of a Santa Claus, and it's an out there idea, and I think that's neat about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess unless you have anything nice to add, we should get to the naughty.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Okay, let me start off with just like the chronological, this main thing here.
All right.
Title makes no sense.
Twas the Night.
Because the title and the framing device, it feels very forced. Like I don't know why they picked that. Just it makes thematically you don't need it to be a "Twas the Night Before Christmas" mock-up. It has barely anything to do with it aside from that really forced opening and closing.
Yeah, the opening is like I actually had a really hard time getting it. I was like, this is the movie that BlueDragonFive's been hyping up so much in the first 5 minutes.
That's the thing. I mean, you really if you guys just started the movie with like Danny and his thing here is like messing with realizing it's the 24th. You don't need like "Twas the night." It's like "Twas the day before Christmas." Actually, no, you don't need that. It's pointless. Why are you using that?
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb.
Like they're forcing "twas" in there unnecessarily. Like "Twas the night." It's like there's no "Twas the night before Christmas" in there aside from the vague thing of okay, Santa Claus visiting the house. It's all "Twas the night" you have, which it doesn't necessarily need to be "Twas the night before Christmas."
But then to be fair, Bryan Cranston is reading the kids the book, so that's about it.
I mean, "Twas the Night" worked more. There was technically kind of like a subtitle, not a subtitle. There was like the working title for the Santa Claus movie, where it was called "Such a Clatter," as in the Rose Such a Clatter Company, the whole "Twas the Night Before Christmas" thing from the Santa Claus. That was the working title, Rose Such a Clatter.
Such a Clatter would be a good title for this, actually.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like something like that, as like the title would have made more sense. Like saying that if you're gonna draw some sort of "Twas Night" period, don't just do "Twas Night." Just do something that's a little similar to that, like subtle enough, or like something completely not just like forced like that. I don't know, really.
Yeah, it's very forced. It's like you have the whole "Twas the Night" thing in there at the beginning just so the title makes sense.
Exactly.
It's like, well, if you have to do that, then why call it "Twas the Night" to begin with?
That's a mandated thing. I'll bet you Disney just they didn't all the you know how like in Hollywood all the titles are taken, so you either have to risk having the same title as another movie, or you have to find some little variation on it. So I'm figuring they were like, okay, well let's try "Twas the Night."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not before Christmas, just "Twas the Night." It's the only Christmas title we have at our disposal at the moment, so let's just use that somehow.
It very much does sound like Disney just kind of like drew from a hat of like generic Christmas titles.
Oh, we can't use "Jingle Bell."
Oh God.
We can't use "Fruitcake Palooza."
No, that's Alvarez's territory. Alvarez loves the fruitcake.
So let's see. So I guess we got. I'm sorry. Keep going with some naughty here.
Yeah, so just the Disney Channel original movie, like laundry list of like, oh, it's the brainy sister and the adorable youngest sibling.
Yeah, there are some cheesy bits, and tonally there's some cheesiness with this premise.
Mm-hmm.
Not the premise, but like the movie.
Yeah, just in general, the delivery. I mean, it's very much is a Disney Channel movie. No one's gonna mistake this for like a major theatrical Hollywood movie.
Yeah, like the father who's just like plot wise needs to establish to the audience that the kid's troubled. It's like, oh, Danny, you're just like your Uncle Nick. It's always that guy. Like the reference of Uncle Nick feels a little forced, but then again, it's as a family it might be close to Nick, even though it sounds like they don't see him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but remember, oh yeah, he emails Nick because the idea is Nick's techno savvy, and so is the kid here, so they email each other.
Right.
At the time, that was
back when email was like a new fucking. That's the funny thing with this movie is that it was right at the cusp of like the World Wide Web boom.
Yeah, like all the hacking stuff with Nick. Remember, like the big deal of the movie was the skull and crossbones virus thing. That was the huge deal.
And it's like, yeah, it's just basically like, oh, you drag a virus into another computer. Yeah, that's totally.
And it's a plot device of like having. There's some forced with the cheesiness. There's some forced plot points that we have to have. Like, so the kids have to explain to Santa Claus what these things are, so the audience knows.
You know, I'll give it a pass though, because Jurassic Park totally does the same kind of shit with their hacking stuff.
Yeah.
So,
it's like we don't have Wayne Knight in this movie going,
I mean, I still think that scene with the little girl sitting down at that fucking computer, and it's ridiculous. I love that movie to death, but that scene is absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
Anyways.
Okay, so mainly the biggest cheesy element of the movie, the biggest flaw I have with it would probably be the villains and the hacking stuff, less the hacking stuff, more the villain. The villains are just really over the top and they're cheesy and like they're really just like unthreatening.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think that is kind of the. Well, I think Elliot is kind of threatening, and I think
I don't know. Elliot just he seems really silly. Like you kick him between the legs and you'd be done with this guy. That's what it strikes me as. I haven't seen that much. Like I don't want to sound like that guy. I don't know. I don't want to say that I could take him, but I'm just saying I think someone could take him.
I don't think I could take him.
I'm just saying he doesn't seem like he's like basically he's very over the top Disney Channel villain of like oh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. He literally does that again. The hilarious response from Cranston, like the just like villain who does that. It's like okay, this guy's not a threat. You can take him out. He's like whack him over the head with something. I guess that's the way anyone can take him out. Just whack him over the head with something. But let's see. Okay, biggest thing that too. Another big thing is like Caitlin gets on my nerves, and the main scene where she really just like gets on my nerves is when they're in the computer store, like the Lumax computer, whatever that one was, basically when she tries to override the sled and bring it home. It's why does she have to be so unlikable in that scene? She's so cocky, and then she's getting into a battle with Danny, trying to hack it. Like, no, my brother's not smarter than me. It's like, oh my god, I hate this.
That
scene, it's like, look, I get it's a noble thing they're trying to bring the sleigh back for Santa Claus, and it's conflict with Danny and Nick Wood and his misguidedness and what he's doing. I get that, but don't make her so unlikable. Of like, I want this kid to fail because we're supposed to be rooting for her. And we're supposed to be rooting for both parties, but I can't root for both parties when I hate this kid. Speaking of which, Peter, the lisp is a little too cutesy, and I didn't like the bathroom gag. That's like the one thing, again, nostalgically, that's the one thing I remember hating. I remember the bathroom gag was really forced, and like, do we really need that?
No, we don't.
It's like, he mentions, like, basically that's how he distracts the guys, is he needs to use the bathroom, he's going to use the store, and then Santa Claus has the great follow-up, though, saying, I think he's created a diversion. I mean, that's great. It's just, out of all the excuses the kid could have thought of, I don't know.
It's a lot better than any of the potty humor from Santa Claus 3, though. So,
well, yeah, there's one. Actually, there's only one potty joke, right? In the Santa Claus 3.
There's a couple reindeer farts.
All right. Well, those have been through the whole trilogy, though.
Yeah, but I don't care. It's still gross and disgusting and unappealing.
I'm with you. I'm not crazy about the reindeer farts. I'm just saying they've been there through the whole thing. Okay, that's all.
Like if you're sitting there eating popcorn and a reindeer fart, it's like, oh, I just lost my appetite. Thank you, movie. Thank you.
Well, I'm not crazy about eating during the movie, so I can kind of do that. Anyway, that's really all I got for the naughty. Yeah, the naughty is mainly just set in the time. It's mainly set in the era. Most of the gripes I have, there's kind of error-centric things. But again, the sister and the title are really the other big elements there.
Right.
So again, it's not really a lot going against this movie. It's just kind of the looking back at it kind of creates some issues, and the fact that it's an original movie over a theatrical movie. But again, it's not bad. Again, the Cranston really carries this movie in a good way. Cranston provides fuel for the concept that gives you allows you to be sucked into it a little bit.
Yeah, it's a really good concept, but without Cranston, I still think it just would have been unmemorable.
Yeah, it's like Cranston's the billboard that gets you to pay attention to the concept there, and the concept's not too bad, and that's the idea. It's a neat concept, but Cranston sucks you in. Okay, so that's
Well, like you said, I think you made a really good point where it's like most of the flaws here, if not all of them, kind of stem from the fact that this is a Disney Channel original movie, and as a Disney Channel original movie, it's going to do Disney Channel original movie things. But besides that, I think it holds up really well. I think it's really creative. Like we said, it's got some of the best illogical logic that we've seen in a Santa-centric movie. So overall, I think it holds up really well. There's definitely a few things here and there that are like, all right, that's, yeah. But you just kind of got to look at it like, well, just go in it with the nostalgia goggles on for Disney Channel in general, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's... with the Santa thing, the one last thing I'll say about it, because I've been gushing over a lot, I know, but the last thing I'll say about it is that it's like the most practical explanation for Santa Claus you've seen in a long while. I mean, until we got things really like Arthur Christmas, or and you'll see like kind of Arthur Christmas, Prep and Landing, and I guess a bit of Fred Claus in there. You don't really see the logically how Santa Claus could deliver all the gifts aside from magic, aside from it's like it's Christmas pie. I mean, this one actually tries to give you like the tools of like kind of the tools of like, okay, you can see how he can do it now. You're getting some logical explanations to, okay, that's how he can make the process more expedient, how he's a shot of getting it all done in one night, which is cool. So I mean, it's like one of those movies after the first Santa Claus kind of set up, like it's kind of a set in motion thing of like how he can do it. And freezing time was the brilliant notion of okay, freezes time. That's how he does it.
Yeah.
I love them applying some smart logic to it. It's like it's a take on Santa Claus you don't see every day with the Christmas specials. Until now with Arthur Christmas, but again, overall, let me fire through. It's a fun, overlooked film. The Cranston comedy's fantastic. It's some cool Santa ideas with a decent message within it. Naughty and nice isn't black and white. I mean, there are kids who are good, just misguided, and you always have to give that. Danny does apologize for Santa for stealing the sleigh. He really does. He means it because he was manipulated to. In Santa Claus, there's that really great moment where he just kind of. Initially, he would have just forgiven him, but the Christmas seems to be ruined at this point. Santa Claus is just bereft of hope, and he's just like looking at him, saying, "Well, frankly, son, I don't think that's gonna matter. How does it feel being scammed now?" Just kind of delivering like the harsh message of life to the kid here, saying, "Well, now you see why you shouldn't scam people. You know how it feels from the other side now." Yeah, I do, and it's like there's that great moment of camaraderie where Santa. Whether you like it or not, again, it's kind of the buy of the film of okay, Santa Claus just takes a moment to chew out Nick, even though he can't hear him, and because of that, he trips and he hits his head.
God.
And because of that, though, the end makes that all the more satisfying. Because of that moment, you have the ending where they all kind of get on the same page, where Nick comes back, saves the day, where the three of them are kind of getting together, and they apologize. They say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have lied to you, and Santa Claus is so overjoyed, like his hope is restored. Of like these two guys, one so naughty he's corrupted the other guy, making him naughty, have come around. There was hope in the world again, yay! And they're all like dancing around merry-go, ring around the rosy style, and then the girl says, "Hey, we still got a problem over here."
Yeah,
it's a nice message. It's absurd yet funny, and it's a nostalgic staple for me around Christmas time. I know that much. And interesting fact, this has been aired every year since. It hasn't been one year where this hasn't aired.
Oh, okay, nice. So it holds up. I think that answers the question right now if it holds up or not. It holds up in Disney Channel's eyes, at least.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I mean, I think just my final statement on it is if you're looking for kind of the predecessor to Walter White in terms of a Bryan Cranston performance, I swear to God, I am not shitting you. This is the movie you want to watch because it's Bryan Cranston kind of playing this shady guy, and he's got the goatee and everything. So it's pre-Walter White in the most unexpected of places, and I love it for that.
And real quick, a little Bryan Cranston fun fact here. This is one of the 3 performances where he has donned a Santa suit. So he has worn a Santa suit in Breaking Bad in that picture with Skylar on his lap.
Of course, right.
There's this where he's in the Santa suit running away. And there's an episode I emphasize might be talking about with Christmas in July or something with Matlock where he wears a Santa suit.
Well, Matlock is not high on my list, but we'll see.
Well, it was good enough for Jimmy McGill.
I guess. Yeah, Jimmy McGill for old people.
Look, regardless of
Matlock. That's kind of the joke of Matlock, right?
Yeah. But regardless, though, it's just the idea. It's Bryan Cranston in a Santa suit's hilarious, and we actually have had that visual in Breaking Bad, so now we actually have something to go along with it. Seeing him. Again, there's that one Walter White look.
This is the backstory of that photograph.
Again, this is just there's that one look, folks. Again, if you can just take away one thing from it, you just feed into your Breaking Bad love. Just look at that moment when he looks at Elliot and he thinks the jig is up. He looks exactly like Walter White in a Santa suit. If you can only take away one thing, take that away from it.
Okay, I think that about wraps it up then.
Okay. So, should we unwrap take a little peek at the wrapping paper?
Yes, my bad. All right, so next time on Seasonal Shenanigans, we're going to be taking a look at the final part of the Santa Claus trilogy. The Santa Claus, with an E, 3, the Escape Clause.
With an E?
Yes. Starring Martin Short and Tim Allen, and it holds a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, don't use that against. Come on.
No. I'm using it as kind of a statement of BlueDragonFive. You and I it's not a perfect movie. It's probably the weakest of the Santa Claus trilogy, but it's definitely better than a 15%, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're going to be kind of rectifying here. I don't think there's definitely some things to complain about there. I think the effects in the movie are kind of laughable, for example. We'll get into that.
Yes.
But overall, I think it's a fine movie. I think it's a good cap off to the trilogy, and we'll get into that about why the Santa Claus 3 doesn't necessarily deserve all the hate it gets. So, all right.
Well, kids, time to dash away. Let me try this again. Well, kids, time to dash away. But as we wave goodbye, don't you cry. We'll be back again next time. Pinkman.
For even more seasonal shenanigans, bitch. Yo, yeah.
Fa la 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 la.
When I say something, I don't have a clever line. You know the movie more than I do. Come on.
Have you been a good boy, Elliot? Have you been a really good boy?
There you go.